The Galactic Council's grand chamber buzzed with the usual administrative chatter. High Counselor Thendrix, a towering figure from the crystalline world of Prisma, sat at the head of the ornate table, his translucent skin refracting light in complex patterns. Around him, representatives from the dozen most powerful species in the known galaxy discussed trade routes, border disputes, and the perpetual maintenance of their carefully ordered society. Admiral Phoenix, their head of intelligence, slithered into the chamber on her serpentine lower body, her scales shifting color with urgency. "High Counselor," she interrupted, her forked tongue flickering with anxiety. "We've detected unusual energy signatures from the Sol system." Thendrix's crystalline features remained impassive. The Sol system, home to humans, those peculiar bipedal creatures who had barely managed interplanetary travel. "What kind of signatures?" he asked, more out of protocol than interest. "Unknown, sir." Phoenix projected a holographic display above the table. "Our long-range sensors detected massive power fluctuations near Earth's moon. The energy output exceeds anything we've recorded from their civilization." Counselor Barracks, a being of pure energy contained within an environmental suit, scoffed. "Impossible. The humans are centuries behind our technological level. Their most advanced ships still use primitive fusion drives." But Phoenix's readings were undeniable. The data showed power signatures that dwarfed even the Council's most advanced warships. For centuries, the Council had monitored Earth as a curiosity, a young species still finding its way among the stars. They had deliberately limited human access to advanced technology, believing them too volatile, too unpredictable to handle such power responsibly. "There's more," Phoenix continued, her scales now a deep shade of concern. "We've detected quantum fluctuations consistent with advanced void space technology, something we believed impossible for their level of development." The chamber erupted in murmurs. Void space technology had been the Council's greatest advantage, allowing their ships to traverse vast distances through subspace. The thought that humans had not only developed it independently, but potentially improved upon it was unthinkable. High Counselor Thendrix raised a crystalline hand for silence. "Perhaps it's time we paid our Earth colleagues a formal visit. Prepare a diplomatic vessel." "Sir," Phoenix interjected, "preliminary scans suggest they've constructed something massive in the lunar shadow. Something our sensors can barely comprehend." The Council had made a critical mistake. While they had watched Earth's official space program with dismissive amusement, they had missed the secret projects hidden beneath the lunar surface. They had underestimated human ingenuity, their ability to reverse engineer technology from crashed Council vessels, their determination to protect themselves from cosmic threats. Deep within a crater on the dark side of the moon, Director Hammond stood at the observation deck of humanity's greatest achievement, the Dreadnought Prometheus. The massive vessel represented decades of secret development, combining reverse-engineered alien technology with uniquely human innovations. Its quantum core pulsed with enough power to rival a small star, while its void space engines could tear holes in reality itself. "Status report," Hammond commanded, his weathered face reflected in the reinforced viewing glass. Colonel Reeves, his chief of operations, appeared at his side. "All systems nominal, sir. The quantum shield matrix is stable, and the void space drive is ready for demonstration." Hammond nodded slowly. For too long, humanity had played the role of the galaxy's backward children, all while preparing for this moment. The Council's patronizing oversight had been both an insult and an opportunity, allowing Earth to develop in secret, hidden from prying eyes. "Send the message," Hammond ordered. It was time to show the galaxy that humanity would no longer accept the role of a footnote in galactic history. The Prometheus would be their declaration of independence, their proof that humans deserved a seat at the galactic table. As the quantum transmitter activated, sending its signal across the stars, Hammond knew the galaxy would never be the same. The Council's age of unquestioned dominance was about to end, and a new chapter in human history was about to begin. The Council's diplomatic vessel, the Celestial Envoy, dropped out of void space near Earth's orbit. Commander Voss, a veteran of countless first contact missions, stood on the bridge with his forearms crossed. His species, the Quaterns, prided themselves on their diplomatic finesse, but something about this mission felt different. Multiple contacts emerging from lunar orbit, reported Lieutenant Dax, her bioluminescent skin pulsing with excitement. Energy signatures are extraordinary. The crew watched in stunned silence as Earth's fleet revealed itself. Led by the massive Prometheus, a dozen vessels emerged from the moon's shadow. Each ship bristled with technology that shouldn't have existed, their quantum shields creating ripples in spacetime itself. Director Hammond's voice crackled across all frequencies, transmitted in perfect council standard. "Greetings, representatives of the Galactic Council. We've been expecting you." Commander Voss's outer eyes blinked in surprise. The humans weren't just ready for them. They had been waiting. "This is Commander Voss of the Celestial Envoy. We've come to investigate unusual energy readings from your system." "Of course you have," Hammond replied, a hint of amusement in his voice. "Perhaps you'd like a demonstration." Before Voss could respond, the Prometheus's quantum drive activated. The massive ship didn't just enter void space, it tore through it, creating a controlled quantum singularity that defied the laws of physics as the Council understood them. In an instant, the vessel appeared on the other side of the Celestial Envoy, having traversed space in a way that should have been impossible. Back in the Council chamber, the news of Earth's technological leap sent shockwaves through the assembly. High Counselor Thendrix's crystalline form vibrated with concern as he reviewed the Celestial Envoy's data. "How did we miss this?" demanded Counselor Barracks, his energy form flickering erratically. "They've developed quantum manipulation technology beyond our own capabilities." Admiral Phoenix's scales had turned a pale shade of fear. "The humans didn't just catch up to us. They surpassed us. Our void space technology looks primitive compared to their quantum drive." The truth was devastating. While the Council had focused on maintaining their technological superiority through control and restriction, humanity had been innovating in secret. Their isolation had forced them to think differently, to approach problems from angles the Council had never considered. On the Prometheus, Colonel Reeves presented their next revelation. "Director, the quantum matrix is ready for full demonstration." Hammond nodded, knowing this would shatter any remaining doubts about Earth's capabilities. "Proceed." The Prometheus's quantum core pulsed, and suddenly the space around the ship began to fold. It wasn't just traveling through void space, it was manipulating the fabric of reality itself. The vessel created its own pocket universe, a feat that the Council had theorized but never achieved. "Impossible," whispered Commander Voss, all four hands gripping his command chair. "Their control over quantum mechanics, it's beyond anything in our archives." Hammond's voice returned, calm and assured. "For centuries, you've treated Earth as a backward world, unworthy of true membership in the galactic community. You restricted our access to advanced technology, thinking it would keep us dependent. Instead, you forced us to innovate, to think beyond conventional limitations." The Prometheus's demonstration continued, each new capability more shocking than the last. Their quantum shields could absorb any known weapon. Their sensors could detect ships in void space. Their energy generation systems rewrote the laws of thermodynamics. The Council's greatest fear had come true. Not only had humanity caught up, but they had also developed technology that made the Council's greatest achievements look obsolete. The balance of power in the galaxy was shifting, and there was nothing they could do to stop it. As reports flooded in from the Celestial Envoy, the Council faced a harsh reality. They had dismissed humanity as primitive, failing to see that their isolation and challenges had forged them into something unprecedented. The age of Council supremacy was ending, and a new era of human innovation was about to begin. The Andromeda Nebula blazed with unusual activity. The naturally occurring quantum gates, ancient pathways through space that the Council had long controlled, pulsed with energy as two forces prepared for an inevitable confrontation. Fleet Marshal Octavian of the Council forces had assembled the largest armada seen in a millennium. 500 warships, representing the combined might of the Council's military forces, held position near the Quantum Gate Nexus. Their orders were clear: prevent the human fleet from accessing the gates at any cost. Status report, Octavian demanded, his cybernetic implants processing tactical data at lightning speed. Human fleet approaching from Vector 7, reported strategic analyst Naira, her crystalline body channeling pure data through her neural matrix. They're not trying to hide their approach. The human fleet, though smaller in number, moved with absolute precision. 20 ships, led by the Prometheus, advanced toward the nebula gates. Their quantum drives left trails of distorted spacetime, a display of power that made several Council captains nervous. Director Hammond stood on the Prometheus's bridge, studying the Council's formation. "They're desperate," he observed to Colonel Reeves. "They know if we gain control of the gates, their monopoly on interstellar travel ends. Their ships outnumber us 25-1. Reeves noted, though her tone carried no fear. "Numbers won't matter," Hammond replied. "Initiate the quantum cascade." The Prometheus's core pulsed, and suddenly the laws of physics began to warp around the human fleet. The quantum cascade, a technology that manipulated probability itself, created a field of altered reality. Council weapons would find their shots missing impossible targets, while human weapons would strike with unprecedented accuracy. Fleet Marshal Octavian recognized the threat too late. "All ships, open fire. Don't let them near the gates." The nebula erupted with energy as hundreds of Council ships launched their attack. Energy beams and plasma torpedoes streaked across space. But something impossible happened. The human ships seemed to exist in multiple places at once, quantum probability fields making them nearly impossible to hit. The Prometheus led the counterattack. Its quantum weapons didn't just damage Council ships, they temporarily removed sections of them from reality itself. Warships found themselves missing vital components that had been shifted into parallel dimensions. "This isn't a battle," Naira realized, her crystalline form vibrating with fear. "This is a demonstration." She was right. The human fleet wasn't just fighting. They were showing the galaxy that Council military superiority was an illusion. Every human ship moved with perfect coordination, their quantum technology allowing them to predict and counter every Council strategy before it formed. The battle reached its climax when the Prometheus approached the central gate nexus. Council ships moved to intercept, but Hammond had saved their greatest revelation for this moment. "Activate the quantum rewrite," he commanded. The Prometheus's core pulsed one final time, and suddenly the quantum gates themselves responded. The ancient network, which the Council had claimed only they could control, awakened to human commands. In an instant, the gates reconfigured, creating new pathways that only human ships could navigate. Fleet Marshal Octavian watched in horror as his carefully planned defense crumbled. The human fleet hadn't just defeated them, they had rendered the Council's most strategic asset obsolete. "Stand down," Hammond's voice echoed across all frequencies. "Your gates are now part of a new network, one that will be open to all species, not just those the Council deems worthy." The Battle of the Nebula Gates, as it would come to be known, lasted less than an hour, but its impact would reshape galactic civilization forever. The Council's military defeat was total, but more importantly, their technological monopoly was broken. As the Council fleet retreated, Hammond sent one final message. "The age of restriction and control is over. A new era of innovation and cooperation begins today." The quantum gates pulsed with new energy, their ancient pathways transformed by human ingenuity. The galaxy would never be the same, and the Council's greatest fear had been realized. Humanity hadn't just joined the galactic community, they had revolutionized it. In the aftermath of the Nebula Gates battle, the political landscape of the galaxy underwent a seismic shift. The Council's chambers, once a symbol of absolute authority, now echoed with voices of dissent and change. First to break ranks was Ambassador Rylix of the Hylian Collective, a species of energy beings who had long chafed under Council restrictions. For millennia, we have accepted the Council's guidance. Her energy form pulsed as she addressed the Assembly. But the humans have shown us there is another way. High Counselor Thendrix's crystalline form darkened with concern as more representatives stood to voice their support for a new order. The Quantum Alliance, as it came to be known, grew rapidly as species after species recognized the opportunity for advancement that humanity's open approach to technology presented. On the diplomatic vessel Unity, newly commissioned for interspecies cooperation, Director Hammond met with representatives from 24 worlds. The ship's quantum conference room allowed beings of all forms, energy, crystalline, biological, and even gaseous, to interact on equal terms. Humanity never wanted to replace the Council's authority, Hammond explained to the assembled delegates. We sought to break the chains of technological restriction that held our galaxy back. The quantum gates are just the beginning. Ambassador Lyra of the Verdant Worlds, her chlorophyll-based form shifting in the artificial sunlight, spoke next. My people have developed biological technology that could revolutionize medicine across the galaxy. Under Council law, we were forbidden to share it. Now we can all advance together, finished Professor Talon, a winged theorist from the atmospheric world of Skyreach. His species have designed incredible floating cities, but had been prevented from expanding their technology to other worlds. The Unity's quantum sensors suddenly pulsed a warning. Admiral Phoenix, who had dramatically defected from the Council after witnessing humanity's achievements, slithered into the conference room, her scales a pattern of urgent colors. Director, we're detecting a massive Council fleet mobilizing near the core worlds. They're not accepting this change quietly. Hammond nodded gravely. They had anticipated this response. The Council's hardliners wouldn't surrender their power without a final show of force. But they didn't understand that the galaxy had already changed. Send word to all Alliance worlds, he commanded. Activate the quantum network. Across the galaxy, hidden quantum transmitters activated on dozens of worlds. These devices, secretly provided by humanity to their new allies, created an instantaneous communication network that bypassed all Council monitoring systems. In the Council chambers, the remaining loyalists watched in horror as their control literally dissolved before their eyes. The quantum network didn't just connect Alliance worlds. It allowed them to share technology, knowledge, and resources without Council oversight. The Council's purpose was to prevent chaos. Thendrix argued desperately to the remaining representatives. Without our guidance, the galaxy will descend into anarchy. But Ambassador Rylix's response captured the growing sentiment across the galaxy. The Council confused control with stability. True progress comes from cooperation, not restriction. The Unity's quantum engines hummed as it prepared to coordinate the Alliance's response to the Council's military buildup. But this wouldn't be decided by weapons alone. Each day, more worlds declared their independence from Council authority, choosing to join the new alliance. Professor Talon's calculations had predicted this outcome. The Council's power was based on limiting others. Once that limitation was broken, their authority became an illusion. As reports flooded in of more worlds joining the alliance, Hammond reflected on humanity's journey. They had developed their quantum technology in secret, not to dominate the galaxy, but to break the cycle of restriction and control that had held civilization back for millennia. The final confrontation with the Council approached, but the victory had already been won. The galaxy had chosen innovation over stagnation, cooperation over control. The alliance represented not just a new political reality, but a fundamental shift in how species would interact and develop. In the quantum-enhanced conference room of the Unity, representatives of a dozen species worked together, sharing ideas that would have been forbidden just weeks ago. This was humanity's true victory, not the defeat of the Council, but the creation of something new and better to replace it. The final confrontation between the old order and the new took place not in a battlefield among the stars, but in the historic council chambers themselves. The massive council fleet that had been mobilized found itself without purpose as world after world chose diplomacy over conflict. Grand Archive Master Sentinel, one of the oldest living beings in the galaxy and keeper of the Council's vast knowledge repository, stepped forward to address the assembled representatives. His ancient form, a complex matrix of living data, sparkled with accumulated wisdom. In all our records, spanning millions of years, we have never witnessed such rapid change, he began. Perhaps that was our greatest failure. We became so focused on preventing chaos that we forgot to allow for growth. The chamber, once dominated by the Council's most powerful members, now hosted a diverse gathering of species from across the galaxy. Director Hammond and Colonel Reeves represented Earth, while Ambassador Rylix's energy form danced beside Professor Talon's winged silhouette. Admiral Phoenix's scales reflected the historic significance of the moment. The Quantum Alliance proposes a new structure, Hammond announced. Not a council that restricts and controls, but a federation that supports and nurtures. Every species, regardless of their technological level, will have a voice in shaping our shared future. High Counselor Thendrix, his crystalline form showing signs of stress, realized the inevitability of change. And what guarantees can you offer that this freedom won't lead to destruction? That some species won't use advanced technology for conquest? Professor Talon spread his wings as he responded. The quantum network doesn't just share technology, it connects us all. When every world can communicate instantly, when knowledge flows freely, the desire for conquest is replaced by the drive for cooperation. The Unity, now joined by ships from dozens of worlds, maintained a peaceful orbit above the Council world. Its quantum core pulsed with a new type of power, not the energy of weapons, but the strength of unified purpose. Commander Voss, who had witnessed humanity's first demonstration of their quantum technology, stepped forward. I have seen the future the Alliance offers. It is not chaos, it is evolution. The Council sought to prevent disaster by controlling advancement. The Alliance prevents disaster by ensuring we all advance together. The Grand Archive Master's data form shifted as he accessed ancient records. Our oldest texts speak of a time before the Council, when species developed independently. We assumed this led to their destruction, but perhaps we misinterpreted. Perhaps it was our intervention, our restrictions, that truly held the galaxy back. Director Hammond activated a quantum projector, displaying a simulation of the galaxy's potential development under the new Federation. Thousands of worlds, connected by quantum gates and communication networks, sharing discoveries and innovations freely. The projection showed advancement rates far beyond anything the Council had permitted. This is not the end of order, Hammond declared. It is the beginning of true civilization, one where every species can reach their full potential, where innovation is celebrated rather than feared. The remaining Council loyalists watched as their old power structure dissolved, not through force, but through choice. The quantum network had already connected most of the galaxy's worlds, creating bonds that made traditional political structures obsolete. Admiral Phoenix, her scales now a pattern of peaceful blue, summarized the moment perfectly. The Council sought to create perfect order through control. The Federation creates harmony through freedom. As the last votes were cast and the new Galactic Federation was formally established, the quantum network pulsed with messages of celebration from thousands of worlds. The age of restriction was over. A new era of unlimited potential had begun. The Unity's quantum core hummed as it prepared to carry the first Federation delegation on a tour of member worlds. Director Hammond stood at the observation deck, watching the Council world shrink behind them. Humanity had achieved something far greater than military victory. They had catalyzed the galaxy's evolution into something greater than the sum of its parts. Next stop, the future, Colonel Reeves announced as the ship's quantum drive engaged, carrying them toward a destiny that none of the old Council could have imagined. A galaxy united not by force or fear, but by the shared dream of unlimited potential.